What's up? Not a car guy here. Today I'm going to be replacing the alternator on my 2004 Mustang GT. So let's get to it. The first thing you're going to want to do is disconnect the battery. Remove the negative battery cable from the terminal. You can cover it up with some cloth or some other thing if you want that extra layer of protection. After you disconnect the battery, the next thing you're going to do is relieve the tension in the serpentine belt so that you can get the belt off of the alternator pulley. The way you do this is by either using a serpentine tool or you can just use a socket wrench. If you're not sure where the tensioner pulley is, it's right there. Place your socket driver in the center hole of the tensioner pulley, like so. Once your driver is tight and secure, just push down and it will move the pulley and relieve tension on the belt, allowing you to remove the belt. Don't take the belt all the way off, just off of the alternator. After you get the belt off of the alternator pulley, slowly move the wrench back into its original position, and while you do this, keep an eye on the belt to make sure that it doesn't fall off of the other pulleys. I recommend that you take a picture of the pulley system so that you have a reference to check when you're putting the belt back on. Now that the belt is off of the alternator pulley, you can loosen the two forwardmost screws on the harness that sits on top of the alternator. Once you get those screws undone, you can then undo the two screws at the bottom of the alternator. After you've loosened those screws, you can then disconnect the positive cable from the alternator. And you can do this using a 10mm socket. Once you get the alternator loose and you detach the positive electrical connector from the alternator, you can pull it forward so that you can see that electrical harness a little better, and then if you need to, you can use a flathead screwdriver to get that clip off and free the harness from the alternator. Now that we've removed the alternator, we can put the new one in by reversing the steps we just followed. So you can put the alternator in place and then put the two bottom screws in first, and you can hand tighten them, and I go kind of left, right, left, and work them in evenly rather than screwing all of them in at once, just so you can kind of make sure that you get an even fastening and it gives the alternator something to rest on. And then after you get those nice and tight, you can fasten the top harness. After you get those bolts in, you can then connect the positive cable to the alternator. And then push the harness in until it clicks. After you fasten the two electrical connectors, the next step is to put the serpentine belt on the alternator pulley. After you push the wrench down to get the belt on the alternator pulley, before you release the wrench, examine the belt to make sure that it's in place, that the grooves on the belt are inside the grooves of all of the other grooved pulleys. And make sure that the belt is not too close to the rim of the pulley or too far away so that it doesn't cause friction or burning while the engine is running. Then just reattach your battery and you're done. And that's how you replace the alternator in a 2004 Mustang GT. Thanks for watching. Massage the like button as usual. Give me a subscribe, and remember, I'm not a car guy, but I will be. Giddy up.